The Perron family moved into an old farmhouse in Harrisville in 1971. The family consisted of parents Roger and Carolyn and their 5 daughters. The girls were still children. The house stood off the road, surrounded by fields and trees. It was large, made of stone, and had multiple floors. It looked old. The family saw it as a place where they wanted to begin a new life. When they went inside, they gradually began to notice the interior. The floors creaked, the stairs were steep, and the doors were heavy. The air smelled of old wood and dampness. The house felt cooler than the outside. The children ran through the rooms and up and down the stairs. Roger carried boxes in from the car. Carolyn tried to keep an eye on the children while also taking in the space. The dog stopped at the threshold and refused to go inside. It braced its paws against the ground and backed away. The family took it as a reaction to a new environment. They managed to get the dog inside later. They slept peacefully the first night. The house was quiet. The children fell asleep exhausted from the trip. Over the following days, the family unpacked, cleaned, and adjusted to their new home. Roger noticed that the house would need repairs. Carolyn spent much of her time in the kitchen and with the children. One morning, a strong odor appeared in the kitchen. It smelled like something rotten. The source could not be found. After a short time, the smell disappeared. In the days that followed, the odor returned, each time in a different part of the house. The family could not connect it to any specific cause. They also began to notice sounds, footsteps, movement in the house. When someone went to check, the rooms were empty. Gradually, objects began to move. Doors that had been closed were found open. Chairs were in different places in the morning than where they had been left the night before. The children began waking up at night. They could not always explain why. They said they felt that someone was in the house. Some mentioned figures, others only a sense of presence. The described figures were not always the same. Sometimes it was only a silhouette. Other times, someone standing within the space of the house. During this period, the family did not perceive a single specific entity, more a feeling that the house was not empty. Carolyn began waking up more often at night. She claimed she felt pressure on her body, as if something were lying on top of her. When she fully woke up, the sensation disappeared. The family tried to find ordinary explanations: an old house, fatigue, stress from the move. Still, they felt that something in the house was changing. At that time, they did not yet know that this was only the beginning. After the first few weeks, the family became accustomed to the fact that the house was not completely quiet. The smells, sounds, and movement of objects became part of their everyday life. They still tried to explain everything as technical issues or as the result of living in an old house. Gradually, however, phenomena began to appear that they could no longer ignore. The children started waking up more often at night. Some cried, others simply sat on their beds and refused to sleep alone. They claimed they felt that someone was standing in their rooms. Sometimes they described figures, other times, just the feeling that they were not alone. Roger began locking the doors at night. He checked the windows and walked through the house. Each time he found everything closed and empty. The sounds in the house grew stronger. Footsteps became more frequent and more distinct, most often above the parents' bedroom and in the hallway between the children's rooms. When someone went to check, the sounds stopped. The smell appeared suddenly, sometimes in the kitchen, other times in the living room or near the stairs. It lasted briefly and then disappeared. The source was never found. Carolyn noticed that her sleep was getting worse. She woke up exhausted with headaches and tension in her body. At night, she repeatedly felt pressure on her chest or arms, which vanished when she fully woke up. She began noticing bruises on her body. At first they were small, later more pronounced. They appeared on her arms and legs, and she could not remember injuring herself. Roger noticed them too, and gradually realized they were recurring. The children saw that their mother was more tired and quieter. When Carolyn was alone in a room, she felt as if someone were watching her. One afternoon, Carolyn was alone in the kitchen when she felt a strong blow to her back and fell to the floor. When she recovered, the room was empty. After this incident, they stopped talking about coincidences. The children complained of being touched during the night, of hair being pulled, blankets tugged, or voices calling their names. Carolyn felt that what was happening in the house was changing. It was no longer random. She had the impression that something was beginning to focus on her. One night she told Roger she was certain they were not alone. He searched the house, turned on the lights, and found nothing. From that moment on, they stopped downplaying the situation. The children stayed closer together, lights remained on longer, and the family became more cautious. At this stage, they still did not know what was in the house. They only knew that the phenomena were stronger than before and could no longer be ignored. Carolyn's condition continued to worsen. The fatigue was more pronounced than before. Sleep no longer brought her rest. Bruises appeared more frequently and in places she could not explain. They showed up even on days when she had been with her family the entire time. The children noticed that their mother was weaker. They stayed closer to her. They stopped moving through the house alone. They slept together or with their doors open. Carolyn began to feel that what was happening in the house was connected to its past. She decided to find out who had lived in the house before them and what had taken place on the property in earlier years. She started talking to local residents. She visited neighbors, elderly people in the area, and those who had lived there their whole lives. She asked about the history of the house, the families who had lived there, and about deaths and accidents. From these conversations, she learned that several families had lived on the property in the past. Some had died directly in the house. Others had died from illness or in accidents nearby. She heard about children who never reached adulthood and adults who had died suddenly. She wrote the names down. She also recorded the years and circumstances of the deaths. She noticed that some names appeared repeatedly in the accounts of different people. During the same period, names began to appear in the house in other ways. The children spoke them in their sleep. They could not always explain what the names meant. Some of the names Carolyn recognized from the list she had compiled. Others meant nothing to her. The phenomena in the house continued. Sounds and movement occurred during the day as well. The atmosphere in the house shifted most noticeably when Carolyn was exhausted or alone. Carolyn felt that since she had begun investigating the house's past, the activity had intensified. Her fatigue grew worse. The pressure on her body returned more often. The bruises multiplied. Roger realized that he could no longer handle the situation on his own. He stopped looking for ordinary explanations and decided to seek help from outside. He learned about people who dealt with similar cases beyond the house. He contacted Ed and Lorraine Warren. When they arrived at the house, it was during the day. The children were home. Even during their visit, phenomena occurred that had previously appeared mainly at night. Footsteps were heard. A strong odor emerged. The atmosphere in the house changed noticeably. During the conversation, Carolyn stopped responding. She sat down, lowered her head, and did not react when spoken to. Roger called to her repeatedly. When she recovered after a short time, she claimed she remembered nothing. During the seance, Carolyn's condition worsened sharply. She stopped responding, her body became tense, and Roger had the feeling that the voice she was speaking with was not her own. The children were present. During the seance, a physical phenomenon occurred. One of the daughters screamed that something was pulling her hair. Her hair moved without being touched. The situation spiraled out of control, and Roger immediately ended the seance. He realized that whatever was acting in the house was capable of physical and targeted action. After the seance, the phenomena did not stop. The house remained active, although calmer. Carolyn remained weakened and at times was no longer herself. The family decided not to continue with further seances or with the Warrens. In hindsight, the family began to associate the manifestations with a female figure who had lived on the property in the 18th century. She was not the only one. The house was a place of multiple presences, one of which was distinctly hostile and focused on Carolyn. The family stayed in the house for several more years. Eventually, they moved out and took nothing with them. Whatever was there, stayed there. And now think about it. Are you sure that where you are sitting right now, you are truly alone? That no one is standing behind you? That the sound you may have heard was only a coincidence? Because some things do not appear on cameras, and some stories do not end when the video is turned off. If you enjoyed this video, subscribe to the Foggy Truth channel. More true stories are waiting, stories that may leave you feeling less than safe.
And when you turn off the light tonight, you might want to look behind you one more time.